distinguished speakers, and also to all the participants. Welcome to International Market Other Sessions. This is the 5th edition for 2022. IMUS is actually is one of the program under Enhanced Franchise Development Program and organized by Malaysia Franchise Associations. We are here today to hear from two panelists here, very experienced people. But before that, let me introduce themselves. Okay, so allow me to introduce our very first speaker. We have here is Ms. Cheryl R. Quintana, Chairman of Philippine Franchise Association and also the founding president of Orispa Solutions Incorporated. Michelle Ramos also is a multi-awarded entrepreneur and business leader. She is the founding president of Orispa Solutions and the number of a maker of 100 natural rice brand-based health and also the beauty products in the Philippines. She is the current chairman of the Philippine Franchise Association and also the chairperson on Committee on Women and Social Entrepreneurships of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Michelle also is the first Filipina awarded Asia Pacific Woman Entrepreneur by the Confederations of Asia Pacific Chambers of Commerce and Industry, or CACCI, in their 34th conference in Turkey, named Outstanding Asian Woman Entrepreneur. She's recognized as the most inspiring Filipina of Go Negocio and one of the FWN 100 most influential Filipina in the world in UK, London. Aside from being a multi-awarded entrepreneur, she's a passionate mentor and also a professional speaker on the topics of entrepreneurship, branding, franchising, and strength-based coaching. She's also the author of the books, A Small Entrepreneur's Journey, How to Start, Survive, and Succeed, and Yes, the Filipino Brand Can, which is also her advocacy. Ms. Cheryl pays forward to fellow MSMEs in the country through mentorships and inspiration that a homegrown brand can level up to a greater heights and compete in the international business platform. So very impressive, and we are so honored to have Ms. Cheryl with us. All right, so I will catch up with you later on, and let me allow to introduce you our second speaker for today. We have here Miss Happy. Miss Happy Laili Nurjama is from Spire Research and Consulting. Happy is a bachelor's degree in statistics and from University of Brawijaya. During the college, she also been involved on the government projects and assists her lecturer to publish international journals. She had an internships at the ministry, state-owned enterprises, and have done a lot of analysis and statistics methods. So she started her career as a researcher at an online also media company called The Economics, and she also joined Aspire Research and Consulting based in Indonesia in 2021, and she has been involved in market environment analysis, M&A target research, business partner selections, and CSR research for industries such as agriculture, commodities, energy, food and beverage, and banking. So once again, thank you and welcome our two distinguished speakers joining us today for the International Market Other Sessions. We call it IMUS, all right? So before that, okay, allow to introduce myself as well. My name is Carol, so I'm gonna be the moderator for today. And what we have now here, if any of the participants would like to ask any question or anything right after the presentation or the sharing from our panelist speaker, please do kindly post in the chat rooms and I will share the questions to our panelist speaker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow us to invite and welcome our first speaker for today, Ms. Cheryl from the Philippine Franchise Association. Over to you, Ms.
Thank you so much, Carol, for that very kind introduction. And of course, good morning to Ms. Happy and to every one of you here in the Zoom room. So let me see if everyone is already excited for our discussion this morning. Could you type in the chat box number 1 if you are already into franchising? Number 1 if you're already into franchising. And number 2, if you're just still, planning to enter franchising. Let me see our participants Okay, in the chat box, okay, typing in 1 if you're already into franchising, and 2 if you're still, a new entrant in franchising. So while there's still, okay, there you go. And I am tasked this morning to actually discuss to you an overview of the franchising in the Philippines. And I'd like to discuss first what PFA is all about. Okay, so the Philippine Franchise Association was established in 1995. Our members include the biggest franchise brands, both local and foreign brands in the country. We're of course adhering to the fair franchising standards. It is the code of ethics of PFA. The association is home of the country's most trusted franchise brands, and we're an active member of the World Franchise Council, and of course, the Secretariat of the APFC right now, or the Asia Pacific Confederation, Franchise Confederation. So I'd like to give you a snapshot of franchising in the Philippines. The Philippines is actually, one of the we're a top 7 largest franchise market in the world. Our franchising sector contributes to the GDP of around 8%, and the values are actually contributed from the following categories or sectors, as you can see from the screen. Having food as the highest contributor to the local GDP in the Philippines. We're responsible for over 200,000 franchise outlets all over the country and employs over 2 million direct and indirect employment. We are, of course, has a high linkage to agriculture, which is a labor-intensive sector. And right now, having a new administration, government, and a new president in the Philippines, having agriculture as one of the biggest platforms he's concentrating. We're very excited because franchising always has a backward linkages to agriculture. We're supporting this sector heavily. How are our members or the sector adapt to the post-pandemic future? So we've been, as other franchise entrepreneurs all over the world had been scrambling to do the e-commerce sites very well and the digitalization infrastructure. So everyone going into digital world, and we have beefed up our cashless transactions, and of course a lot of online buy and sell communities, and most of the marketing and ads that we're doing are on the digital or virtual world. How the franchising still continues to adapt in the post-pandemic future. We've seen a lot of franchise brands tapping onto the hyper-localism. Hyper-localism is actually, taking a look at the particular market in a particular territory. So very closely. That's why we are actually expanding and tapping this culture or this market behavior during the pandemic. And we've opened outlets not only in the mega or metropolitan cities as we used to know before. Franchising, when you talk about franchise outlets, they concentrate on the malls, they concentrate on the cities. But with the market behavior during the pandemic, and of course the post-pandemic future, we have seen a lot of movements in the ground. We have seen a lot of franchise outlets being located in particular villages or communities where actually the customers can go to nearer outlets, outlets nearer to them in their immediate community. So we've seen a lot of people also going into entrepreneurship through community resellerships, especially in the retail sector. So they ask a lot about what particular products they can sell in their immediate community. So we've seen a lot of new entrants and a lot of engagement among startup entrepreneurs going in this route. So we've also maximized omni-channel retailing, meaning to say that it's not only going digital or going topping the virtual world, but also doing a lot of or multi-channels, no, omni-channels. So some, of course, for example, a lot of retail customers go to particular outlets just to pick up their products. They do already the ordering online, but they still want to go to the outlets and pick them up. Others actually, we have a lot of examples here that they have presence in the mall, but they just showcase the product. You order, you try them on, especially for clothing, for example, you try them on and you order also digitally, and then you go home and you have your products in your doorstep. So that is actually one of the examples of omni-channel retailing. So a lot of deliveries, logistics also on the ground with drive-through and pick-up being, high during these times. Okay, so I'd like to give you the macroeconomic aspects of the country. So a lot of our, as you know, anywhere you go in the world, you meet a Filipino, and our overseas Filipinos remittances also, give a lot of help to the economic, to an economic contributor to the country. And this has been through even during the height of the pandemic. So from 2020 to 2022. So as you can see, these are the figures on the macroeconomics of the Philippines. So we go now, I'd like to bring to your attention, how are you going to optimize, if you want to enter the Philippine market, which I actually encourage you. We're just neighbors, so it's pretty easy for you to actually locate your business in the Philippines, and we're welcoming a lot of foreign investors here. The Philippine market as over 100 million population, and we have a very young population with a median age of, surprise, 23 years old, very young. So meaning to say that a lot of people are actually going into shopping, buying, and there are a lot of needs during this point in our lives. So very young population. We actually have our GDP per capita is $3,300 US. We're a very well-educated English-speaking people, and a lot of our stores are open 24/7, even outside the metropolitan cities. I'm actually located an hour and a half away from Manila, and here we see a lot of our convenience stores open 24/7, and a lot of BPOs located all over the country, or business processing outlets. Okay, so how do you tweak your offerings to the Filipino consumer to ensure your sales? So you have to understand the market. The Filipinos have this, it has a pros and cons actually, but of course we have this sachet mentality, which means to say that we want to have bundle deals. We want to try it out first before jumping onto a particular product. So you have individually packaged sachets for particular products as compared to large packets. So bulk buying is particularly niche, for a certain market segment here. We also see a lot of offerings from different outlets, having installment payments for purchases. We also love to eat. We're a people who combine family and food, and you've got already, happiness the whole day. So Filipinos eat five times a day, and we love taking photos of our food. So we've, joking a lot these days that instead of praying, you take photos before you eat. So we have a lot of, takers for Instagrammable places. So they go to restaurants, cafes, or outlets that actually have that vibe of relaxation or cozy places, because they love to take photos of their food. We're very family oriented. So you see a lot of restaurants, a lot of retailers welcoming not just a single or, customers that are a couple, but we usually go out and they top the entire family to dine in their places. Filipinos are very value conscious, meaning to say that we like to think of getting the full value, optimizing the value of what we buy. So if you have these promotional items that says you eat all you can or buy one, take one, or these promotions, and they have a sense of, wow, I get a lot of value for my money on this particular product, and you gain loyalty for them. So we also have a strong chance in the local retail market having popular celebrity endorsers. So if you are into beauty products, cosmetics, they're topping a lot of local celebrities. So not just on TV or print, but also a lot of these influencers, not digital influencers here. So we can see a lot of emerging trends on the ground for food. There's a lot of people into fresh products. So we see now a lot of offerings of groceries, fresh produce that are being available in a particular community, very near to where the market is. So we love convenience, we want to be safe, and we want to be able to enjoy the products. So we have a lot of logistics on the ground for delivery, takeout, curbside pickup, and of course, a lot of these couriers all around. So I don't think that alfresco dining will go away or will not be that hype anymore after the pandemic, but of course it's still very much so. Even if we're opening indoor dining already, people still prefer alfresco dining. So you have to have that particular area in your restaurant that offers that. A lot of brands are going into cloud or dark kitchens where they share particular logistics, particular kitchens for several brands, and they do only delivery and pick up. So we also see a lot of healthy food options for our market. As I've said, they want value for money. They want to be ensured that they're getting high quality, healthy food with every peso that they're spending. Now, we go to non-food, the emerging trends in the Philippines on non-food categories. We still see a lot of health products on the ground and beauty products. My particular brand, Orice Spa Solutions, is into production and franchising. We're a manufacturer and a franchisor of health and beauty products. And even at the height of the pandemic, we're still servicing our customers. We're still, a lot of them saying that they're stressed out because of the crisis, and all the more that people are, taking into that relaxation products, buying a lot of food supplements, health supplements, to beef up their immune system. So health and beauty products are always the way to go, crisis or non-crisis. We also see a lot of people buying affordable indulgences. You know why? During crisis, there's what we call lipstick effect in the economy. A lot of you have encountered this, and especially economists know this. Lipstick effect is actually the people during crisis, after a certain period of time, already are looking for indulgences that they can afford to buy, so that they feel a sense of happiness or fulfillment even during these direst times. So they go to buy affordable indulgences. These are not just cosmetics for the women, but also buy comfort and convenience at home. So we see a lot of purchases for implements, at home. We see ergonomic chairs, for example, because you're setting up your work from home spaces. So we see a lot of these trends in non-food, and also clinics, laundry services, and professional housekeeping services, because a lot of people have already not into having their own in-house help or help, for example, so they go top the professional housekeeping services. A lot of people, because they went in, we were into online distance learning for our children, have now tried to go homeschooling. So we see a lot of people trying to, teach their own children and tap into this strategy for education. We also see a lot of microfinancing as a trend in a non-food sector. We also we see a lot of people, tapping into being community resellers. They do buy and sell of franchise brands from home. So we see also franchises that actually multiplies themselves in microfinancing. So how do we succeed if you are a brand who wants to enter in the Philippines? How to succeed here? First and foremost, I'd like to encourage you to get a good partner. Of course, someone who knows the market very well in the Philippines. It will be, preferable if he or she is a local who, very knowledgeable where the markets in particular regions are, and understand the Filipino consumer, because they're your market. So I've discussed earlier how to understand the consumer here, and your partner will actually be a good help for you in this. Okay, so as I've said, we see a lot of hyper localism, and you can actually Google to understand more about this market behavior. But I'd like to encourage you to do not concentrate on metropolitan cities in the Philippines or Metro Manila. So it's no longer that. Even as our outlets have been doing very well outside Metro Manila. So we have Visayas and Mindanao, as you can see in the map of the country. We're very scattered, the cities all over. So we have several regions that you can tap, and these are the city centers all over the country. So you go to Visayas and you have Cebu, you have Iloilo, you have Boracay, you have Bacolod. You see a lot of cities that you can tap, to locate. So do not concentrate in Metro Manila alone. But of course, if you can locate, you can have one location but do not concentrate. There are a lot of expansion opportunities in other large cities and various regions in the country. Why do we encourage that? During the height of the pandemic, if I may share, most of our outlets, if not all, are closed in Metro Manila. But the outlets outside, in Visayas, in Mindanao, are still operating because the restrictions are much lower, not as stringent in metropolitan cities. Okay, so with that, I encourage you, and I hope to welcome all of you to be here in the Philippines. And I'd like to discuss how the association can help franchises enter the Philippines. So we organized the biggest franchise show in Asia, which we call Franchise Asia Philippines, which I'll discuss later. We organize different events that provide high networking, such as B2B sessions, discovery days. In the past, we've been doing a lot with the Malaysian association, where our counterparts, brothers and sisters here, and we do a lot of B2B together. We have a lot of linkages with master franchises in the country. So we have, a group of franchisees that actually make this their cup of tea, having several brands or multiple outlets in one particular brand that they grow in all over the Philippines. So we also have a lot of network. We have a huge network of experts about the Philippine market who we can refer, and the various regional markets in the country. So the Philippines has the highest number of certified franchise executives, so CFEs in Asia, which we help foreign franchises grow domestically. Meaning to say, you can tap a lot of professional experts in franchising in the Philippines. as we have, hold the highest number of CFE graduates in the country. Okay, so with that, I'd like to welcome every one of you here. I'd like to see you over here in the Philippines and set up your franchise brands in the country. And I'd like to invite every one of you to attend the virtual franchise conference. So we did not stop, this Franchise Asia Philippines, even at the height of the pandemic, and we're able to do a lot of help and a lot of, bridging the gap among our member franchisors and the potential franchisee partners. So these are the virtual conference highlights, and it's going to be on September 2020 to 22. So mark your calendar and start registering now and start asking in our secretariat from our secretariat how you can register in the virtual conference of Franchise Asia Philippines 2022. And this is very exciting. The first face-to-face expo of Franchise Asia Philippines after the pandemic. So before pandemic, we're welcoming, around 70,000 people in 3 days for the expo. And we've, Kyril, we've seen Malaysian brands coming over attending the Franchise Expo. And this is a very festive occasion for all of us. We're very excited because a lot of deals are happening during the Franchise Asia Philippines exposition. And it's going to be on October 14 to 16. And you've got to know already your travel dates, and we hope to welcome you. We have a lot of homegrown and international brands in the food, retail, and service sectors. And if you wish to participate as an exhibitor, please talk to us already right now, because we're filling up already the entire exposition. So we have a lot of national and international visitors. As everyone is excited, with having the face-to-face events already during this year. We have a lot of country pavilions, so you're not only seeing Filipino franchise brands during the expo, but you will see a lot of different brands all over the world. So a lot of them also coming from Asia. We have a lot of unparalleled business matching opportunities during the entire expo event. And this is just going to be 3 days. So very, very full pack. So I welcome all of you. Thank you so much. And I wish you the best in the opening of the economy, and I wish you all bounce back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cheryl. That was so, a very compelling market environment, in Philippines. And, those highlights that you mentioned earlier, we are very opportunists talking about that, how basically like the brand from Malaysia that can penetrate in the market, because due to the populations, to the very young populations. And I'm pretty much sure that a lot of brands, that they still have a room, to enter or to penetrate in the Philippine markets. Thank you so much once again to Ms. Cheryl. And let me check. Okay, we will come back if they have any questions. So once again, to all the audience out there, if you have any questions to our panelists, so can you please post into the chat box, and I will get back to our panel speaker. All right, moving forward. Okay, let's go to another our neighbor. Okay, which is talking about Indonesia, and we are here today to hear what is the export opportunities. Okay, not only talking about the whole Indonesia, but we also try to talking about the focus in Jakarta city. This is also because in conjunction with the event is International Franchise and Licensed Business Concept Expo and Conference, or IFRA 2022. It's going to be held from 5th to 7th of August, which is next week. 14 companies from Malaysia will be participating, so we are pretty much excited. So we will go to Jakarta first, and I'm sure Ms. Cheryl, after that, we will definitely go to Philippines for the next coming shows. All right, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Happy Laili from Spire Research and Consulting. Over to you, Ms. Happy.
Thank you, Jairo, for your time and your kindly introductions. So I would like to share my sorry. Yeah. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Happy Laili from Spire Research and Consulting. I'm going to present about market environment in Indonesia, especially in Jakarta. So this is the Indonesian macroeconomic. Indonesia has maintained healthy and stable economic growth in the last 4 years. However, the COVID pandemic-19 outbreak has resulted in the global economy entering a recession in 2020. The global economic recovery that occurred during quarter first to 20 and 21st boost the improvement of the domestic economy and support the resilience of Indonesian external sectors. Since 2016 to 2021, Indonesia GDP has continued to increase with the projection economic growth in 20 and 22 in the range of 5.2 to 5.9%. Indonesia government carried out several stimulus through the National Economy Recovery Program. By referring to a nice scenario of economic recovery that are influenced by the government economic and health policies, Indonesia is predicted to recover in 20 and 23. This is the Indonesia economy declined by minus 2.07% in 2020 as a result of the pandemic, although it is expected to stabilize in 20 and 23. This is for the retail in Indonesia. Until third quarter of 2020, sales channel for FMCG products from well-known companies are mostly found in traditional retails. This takes into account the pandemic conditions where consumers tend to buy product from the close retails or close proximity due to the PSBB or large-scale social restriction rules in Indonesia. Based on the findings of Spire's primary research, the target consumer in each sales channels are dominated by individual buyers with 23% in traditional retail, 73% in local modern retails, and 63% in national modern retails. In the national modern retail channels and traditional retails, there are at least 70% and 90% of consumers who are small traders, respectively. This is because these two channels allow to provide prices that tend to be slant or cheaper so that small traders can resell and earn profit margins. The purchase of products by small traders at national modern retail is also supported by promotion carried out by large retailers to accelerate the flow of good sales. So this is the players of retails divided by, I decided to divide by two. First for supermarket and second for convenience. With a sales value 1,066 million US dollar in 2020, Transmart is the #1 of leading players in modern retails. Transmart is also the only retailer that has received halal certification from the Indonesian government. For the convenience, Indomaret became the top of convenience store market in 2020 with sales value 5,947.9 million US dollar. This is also backed by the sub-retailers located at each Indomaret location, notably Point Coffee. So, and this is the food and beverage in Indonesia. When assessed in terms of the non-oil and gas processing industry contribution to the GDP in 2020, the agricultural industry sector provided to 50%, with the food and beverage industry contributing the most. Despite the fact that the several industry faced losses in 2020, the food and beverage business grew by 1.58%. The food and beverage industry sector contributes to Indonesian GDP of 319.53 trillion in 2020. To assess the recovery of the food and beverage industry in Indonesia, the government also provides a government-borne import duty incentive for imports of raw materials such as potatoes, corn, milk, and others. This effort is expected to maintain stability in the performance of the food and beverage industry during the pandemic. With the diversity that exists in Indonesia, instant noodles is one of the food and beverage products that are in great demand and consumed by the Indonesian peoples. Indonesian instant noodle consumes reach 12.6 billion servings of 10.84% of world consumption in 2020. Indonesia is also the fourth largest per capita instant noodle consumption, about 48 package per person per year. Indonesia Flour Produce Association reported that the domestic flour consumption is 4.6% in 20 and 21st. It's growing consumption to economic recovery and grow to flour-based culinary business of bakeries. However, Indonesia still import wheat from other countries for their supply. For the current situation, which Russia-Ukraine conflict might affect Indonesia with suppliers, as Ukraine was top of exporter to Indonesia. It's from 2018 to 2020. So Indonesia decided to back to import their wheat from Australia with higher price than Ukraine's. Those still remains to the high demand of wheat. It might be the opportunity to another country to provide wheat to Indonesia with lower price, but in a good quality as well. And for the second is coffee. In Indonesia itself, there are already many coffee shops, both in urban or rural area, or in the small traders who sell around. Coffee with well-known brands abroad and locally is very competitive in the market. There are many segments or consumers of coffee today, not even instant coffee. Instant coffee is particularly popular in Indonesia, where new 3-in-1 brands enter the market frequently. And this is for the early childhood education in Indonesia. Indonesia is the most has the huge Muslim population. So most of their parents will send their children to TPA or Al-Quran education centers, because it is regarded to the most fundamental education for children. And also there is a kindergarten. In terms of children's overall learning aptitudes, parents will choose to send their children to kindergarten. This education is typically carried out in conjunction with the Al-Quran study centers. Kindergarten can be found across in Indonesia. And for the last is daycare. Daycare is more geared at children under the age of 5 who will be taught about sensory plays. So daycares are frequently available in urban areas in Indonesia. I think that's all for me. Back to the Cairo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Happy. All right, for all the information has been given and been shared. So, okay, let me see. there's a question come here from Mr. Hero Tan. Okay, I think this one specifically is for Miss Cheryl. Okay, maybe some of the question I think you already highlighted just now, but maybe again, Miss Cheryl, maybe you just can do a wrap up things and or a simple keynotes for our participants today. Okay, number one, they're asking, is the franchising regulated in Philippines? All right, as well in Malaysia, we do have a Franchise Act over here, right? So number two, they're also asking if yes, so what are the regulations? So basically they want to know what is there any any specific things that, for example, the foreign brands from Malaysia would like to enter to the new market in Philippines, right? And number three, now this is maybe it's being highlighted earlier, but maybe you can also address it again. What are the role does Philippines Franchise Association play? Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I've got a handful. Thank you for those questions, Kyril. So first and foremost, the franchising in the Philippines is not regulated by the government at this point. So we're a self-regulating body. The Philippine Franchise Association is a voluntary self-regulating association in franchising. But just recently, there's this executive order that was promulgated by the Office of the President, Duterte, that actually encourages franchisees to register particular brands, franchisors to particular brands that offers these offerings to franchisees, and they call this a registry, and this will be housed in the Department of Trade and Industry to actually mitigate, the problems being brought by phony franchises and, a lot of scams going around in the country during the pandemic. So this is the response of the government. But in terms of regulation, no, there's no regulation by the government at this point in franchising in the Philippines. Okay, so when you wish to know information for a particular brand, so you can ask, of course, from the government side. We're under the Department of Trade and Industry, so you can also search, legitimacy of particular companies here in the Philippines through them. And of course, you can top from us, the Philippine Franchise Association, if they're, a member of PFA, as we do a lot of heavy, stringent screening for membership before their entry in PFA. So we can help you with those information to know better, particular brands that are selling their offerings to you. For foreign franchises entering in the Philippines, so of course you have to go through your, legal existence in the country. And we have a lot of experts that we can refer, as I've mentioned earlier. So we can really help you out, your setting up here in the Philippines in the association. So I think we can have our secretariat here, our deputy director, to enter in the chat box how they can, what address, you can send us an inquiry to, or how do you get to connect with us. Okay, so for particular requirements for foreign brands, you have to have someone to assist you, of course, in securing first your brand ownership in the Intellectual Property Office in the Philippines. And I know we're both part of the Madrid Protocol. So if you have already registered your brand through that, you've done already the first step, in securing your brand before you come over here. So is there a requirement of a franchisor to be a member of PFA? No, it's voluntary. So, but of course, having housed, the biggest and most of the legitimate, or not, if not all the legitimate franchisors, franchise concepts in the Philippines under PFA, as we are home of the most trusted franchise brands in the Philippines, it's a good, good requirement for you to have your franchisor be a member of PFA. Now, if you're a foreign franchise, do get to connect with us, and we can really help you with your interest and with your your requirements on setting up here. I hope I answered all those inquiries, and I welcome more. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Cheryl. Okay, so far, okay, let me check. Is there any more questions? So I think the second question also refers from Miss Angel Ang. Ask the same thing. Is your franchising is regulated in Philippines? Yes, it's been answered just now. But I do have a question also, Miss Cheryl. Okay, talking about the ownerships. I mean, the foreign investors, if they say now as a franchise brand over here, all right, they would like to enter the market, but they want to try first, okay, by running by their own. So what are the foreigners, I mean, as to become investors, so what kind of the ownerships if they are entering into the Philippine market?
Well, we have now lowered the cap of investments for foreign franchises as the government wants to encourage foreign investments coming into the Philippines. So this is very good news for all of you who wish to locate here. This is the best time. Now, if you ask me, how do I be able to locate smoothly, find a good partner, a local partner in the Philippines? But if you ask me on the requirements, Kyril, I just don't have the exact figures right now. We can supply it to them later. But the government already lowered the cap of investments in the Philippines for foreign investors.
All right, great. All right.
I probably answer the market share for halal food in the Philippines also. There's another question.
Oh, yes, you're right. So maybe you can cover on this part as well?
Yes, we're very excited with that because there's a lot of clamor for halal food in the Philippines. As you know, we have a huge population also of Muslim or Islam population in the Philippines, and they're also very active in in the economy. There are a lot of business people, and they're clamoring for halal food in the Philippines. Right now, there's a platform from the government to actually encourages homegrown Filipino brands in food sector to secure their halal certification. So it's a very vibrant times, at this point. And if you are offering halal food as a foreign brand, this is the best time for you to come enter the country.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cheryl. I think that'll be good news to all fellow players over here, especially from FNB. All right, now let's come back to Miss Happy. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, all right, 14 companies will be joining on the next week franchise, one of the largest franchise event in Indonesia. Okay, so Miss Happy, maybe you can share with us, okay, what are the do and don'ts doing business Indonesia, all right, especially right after the endemic. Is there any tips that you're going to give away to all the fellows franchisors going to be a showcase on this coming event?
Yeah, I guess for those, I don't have any I don't have any thoughts about what to enter about this franchise, maybe, but Indonesia has good opportunity about as mentioned before, about the wheat and corn, and then for the others sectors in food and beverage. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let me check. Is there any more questions? So, okay, there you go. So with that, I think, so yeah, with that, thank you so much once again, all right, to all, to the two panelist speakers here today. Ms. Cheryl, thank you so much for all the compelling business ideas, the tips that you've been sharing with us today. And also Ms. Happy Laili, okay, all the way from Indonesia. Thank you so much. We are neighbors, so we are looking forward. Definitely, right after our Jakarta show event, we were now focusing on the franchise Asia Philippines. I've been there right before the pandemic those days. It's like a huge event. It's like a carnival, so much thing that we can learn and grab the opportunities, and also talking about the brand opportunities and also expansion during this particular event. So we are looking forward for this year Franchise Asia Philippines 2022, and I hope that to see you, Miss Cheryl over there, right? So thank you once again. All right, for all the participants today, all the audience who are joining our international market update sessions today. So we will get our secretariat, maybe they will share those slides we've been shared by our panelists earlier. So with that, I will conclude. Thank you so much once again, and have a good day and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye. See you.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Carol and Miss Cheryl, and also Miss Happy Lily for conducting this event.
All right.
Thank you so much, and
Thanks
I'm
for
really
that.
sorry for the late. I
It's
hope
okay. Yeah, we
it won't
face it.
happen.
See you soon.
Earlier.
Next,
See you
almost.
soon.
See you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, all right, bye bye.
Bye.
All right.